transmission.
Hey guys, it's me again, Dreg. As I've been working on my latest build, I have been thinking about Santa's magic, and we all know what the movies say, how his magic comes from belief in the Christmas spirit. But I've been thinking about it, and something to me just doesn't add up. But before I get into all that, let me tell you what's going on here. A couple of my offspring decided to take apart some old printers to see what was going on the inside. What they gave me was a bunch of gears and some interesting looking pieces. I've discovered that a couple of these pieces make a very convincing looking robot face. This piece was found inside a printer. I'm not sure why I glued this piece, and I think he needed a septum inside his nasal cavity. But it got covered up by this piece found inside an old printer. But first, this wart needs to be removed. This piece found inside an old printer makes a perfect elf ear. These little bits of whatchamacallits make perfect little greeblies. They were found inside of an old printer. This perfectly shaped jawline was found inside of an old printer. These gears which make up his teeth were found inside of an old printer. When I was younger, I enjoyed watching the old Transformer movies. I loved seeing how the inside of their mouths had all sorts of gears and working mechanisms. I tried to replicate that here. This guy's chin comes from an old printer. These larger gears found inside of an old printer gets placed on the inside to form his upper teeth. Then I superglued them in place just like any good orthodontist. This gear found inside of an old printer adds a little bit of interest. These two interesting gears that I'm using to make his eyes, I found inside of an old printer. I'm now using two gears found inside of an old printer to make his eyebrows. This thingamajig that was found inside of an old printer will make his forehead. These two gears and this little piece of whatever it is were found inside of an old printer. I didn't like how these gears looked like another set of eyes, and I was about to rip them off when my son handed me this orange piece. Then I used some finger loppers to chop this orange garbage apart. I use this orange garbage to hide everything but the very edge of the gear. Using pieces like this to hide the gears gives the illusion that there is something else going on inside. There isn't. I found these two long pieces inside of an old printer. I'm going to use them for its neck, but you're not going to see them. I found this piece inside of an old printer. It makes a convincing elf ear. This plastic conglomeration of awfulness looks pretty good. I think it's time to add some rivets. I've been having a hard time trying to figure out how to get these rivets on there. I found that an old yellow crayon sharpened to a fine point works pretty well. I only lost like 5 or 6. With that, I guess I'm done with this weird robot head thing.
Painting.
I took this thing outside and I spray painted it. For this paint job, I went with the less is more technique. I really didn't want to go overkill with the colors, so I just dry brushed some gunmetal gray. Then I covered that with a burn umber wash. You know, I probably ought to really write down my script instead of just winging it on the fly, because I'm recorded this segment 25 times. Anyway, this clip is really long because I wasn't sure when to end it, and I really wanted to show the process of what it was like to cover a work with a wash. So if it's too long, please tell me about it in the comments. Please don't leave me a thumbs down. Please. Seriously. Please don't. So I have this big empty void to fill, so I'm just going to ask you to like, subscribe, share. If you have a social media account, share this with some of your friends. Also, leave a comment below. Tell me what you want me to build next, and if you like this or not. Yeah, that sounds good. Wow, look at that. It's still going. It's not ending. Yeah, in hindsight, I probably should have just cut all this out. My bad. Well, with that out of the way, I took some black wash and I highlighted all the rivets, got some inside the space between the gears, and was just very sparing and just wanted to highlight just a few little pieces on this. So I had the idea of maybe putting a little Christmas hat on the top of this. I know it's not very Christmassy, it's just silver, and I really wanted some red and white and maybe, I don't know, some colors on it. So I went to the dollar store to see what I could find.
Accessorizing.
So I found this. It's a little scarf and Santa hat, and I think you're supposed to put them on a wine bottle, but I'm going to put them to a better use. The scarf just fits nicely. There's a little lip on the back. I didn't even have to glue it in place. And for the Santa hat, I took a little bit of fiberfill and filled up the bottom portion of it. I really wasn't sure where I was going to glue this hat, and as I was looking at it, I realized there was this little antenna off to the side, and it just perfectly skewered the fiberfill inside the hat, and it worked perfectly.
Money shots.
So I was building this, and I was contemplating the nature of Santa. He knows when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good. Who is this guy? How does he have near omniscient powers? When it suddenly came to me, the quote from Arthur C. Clarke rang through my head. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. What if Santa isn't magic? What if he doesn't have an army of elves? What if he uses technology? What if he is just supremely advanced than the rest of us? That would explain how he's able to go around the world so fast. Instead of flying reindeer, maybe they're some sort of robots that resemble reindeer. Instead of elves, he has an army of little automaton droids. And instead of near omniscient powers, he just has an army of robotic spies all over the world, feeding him information. That's how he knows if you're sleeping or awake, or if you've been good or bad. That's going to be it for me, guys. You have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
End transmission.